government noticed that contributions to the National Housing Development Fund are due by May 9th, contrary to court orders, has led an already overburdened taxpayer almost to the brink.
Well, now the Jubilee administration is once again seeking to forcefully impose another tax on the citizenry before laying what the experts say is the proper groundwork for the scheme.
NTV's Olive Burrows explores why this is of particular concern in a country where past government initiatives have run aground after padding the pockets of a crafty few fat cats.
The Jubilee administration's latest scheme, the National Housing Development Fund, is already suffering a massive lack of public confidence even before the plan gets off the starting blocks. The Federation of Kenya Employers, the Central Organization of Trade Unions and the Consumer Federation of Kenya all opposing the levy as presently packaged in court. But just like the value-added tax on petroleum products last year, President Kenyatta's government appears bent on bulldozing it through, not even bothering to pretend to employ a democratic system.
Honorable members, will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay?
The experts concerned that the Jubilee government is rushing to market with a product it's yet to fully test.
It came on a short notice, and then they are trying to implement as you go on, which doesn't work in a public policy setup. If you're trying to implement a structure, a policy that is a medium term. So it doesn't build public confidence. And that's the biggest problem with this policy, because it will not work the moment you have lack of public confidence in it, because you're asking people for their contribution and they're not aware on what exactly you're trying to do.
The outcry I'm seeing around Kenyans is that is overburdening the employers and the employees in terms of this fund. So have we looked into other alternatives in terms of using our pension money, even the statutory one, NSSF, to tap into the same, and using other private pensions to tap into the same?
The experts skeptical that the housing fund is the answer to Kenya's affordable housing deficiency.
They were planning 500 houses for 5 years. We're already 2 years down. I think government has done, 10,000 so far from what I've heard. So government will have to build around 12,000 units a month, which is technically impossible.
We're already 1 year, and we just perhaps broke ground for 1,800 houses, and we need to do like up to 1 million in the next 3 years or 4 years.
The regulations vague on the return on investment, and with members likely to suffer double taxation at the point of contribution and again upon withdrawal.
Employers are wondering, what is it in for us? There's no tax incentive. They're even being penalized 5% if they delay to pay. So what is it in for employers? And given that also employers are already paying other statutory, including pension for their staff, there's tax. So increasing employers' wage bill without giving an incentive around it.
What is exacting in the regulations is the penalty for failing to remit towards the housing fund. A failure by employers to remit the funds, earning the same 10,000 shilling fine and 2-year jail sentence provided for those who may choose to help themselves to the fund. Section 25 reading, a person who misappropriates any funds or assets of the housing fund or assists or causes any person to misappropriate or apply the funds otherwise than in the manner provided in these regulations commits an offence and shall, upon conviction, be liable to imprisonment for a term of 2 years or to a fine not exceeding 10,000 shillings or to both. A slap on the wrist by any measure and hardly a deterrent in a system overrun by corruption. The consensus appearing to be that the Jubilee administration is very likely courting another white elephant at an annual cost of 55 billion shillings to the Kenyan taxpayer.
World over, governments come in to mainly facilitate affordable housing.
And as for those who argue that 1.5% of one's gross pay is a negligible sum of money.
So to say that 1.5% is minimal is to lie to Kenyans, because you are increasing. You're making a deduction now without a salary hike or the economy itself performing better. So the income levels in Kenya are the same, but you've introduced a new deduction. So technically, government is taking more from people.
Olive Burrows, NTV.